A new WordPress bug just dropped, and it doesn't require any plugin, any password, or any click from a user. It just requires existing of WordPress, and 500 million of them exist. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are looking at how wp2shell WordPress RCE chain actually works and why it doesn't require any plugin or any passwords, and how to check if you're exposed. WordPress has a REST API batch endpoint that lets a site process several API requests in one shot. On July 17, 2026, WordPress disclosed that this endpoint could be tricked into corrupting which request goes where, and that confusion opened a path into the database. And this matters because WordPress powers roughly a third of the web, and this bug affects a stock install with 0 plugins and 0 themes. So it's not even about a black plugin anymore that happened and repeated for a decade. The root cause here is the combination of two bugs. Okay, so the first one we have here is SQL injection in WP query. This is a classic PHP type juggling bug. What happens here is WP query class accepts a parameter called author not in. And this parameter is meant to be an array of IDs and accept only array of IDs. The code assumes that type and concatenates the values straight into the SQL query, relying on the fact that an array of integers is inherently safe. But the thing is, it never rechecks it. And the trust becomes the bug. It means that an attacker can inject a raw string and that string will get concatenated straight into the SQL where clause, which is a classic PHP type juggling. As you can see, we have some SQL payloads over here. So this is the expected syntax, author underscore not in. That should accept array of integers just like this. But this is the supplied value. As you can see, we're breaking out of the SQL syntax and then we are injecting a string and 1 equals 0 union all select. Classic union select payload. And that string is concatenated as is into the SQL. And the program executes it. This injection has existed since WordPress 6.8. That's crazy, but on its own, it stays bounded. The routes that expose author not in require authentication. A missing key was needed to reach it anonymously, and that key is part 2. It means that this bug on its own is not actually impactful, but as I said, this whole situation is a combination of two bugs, and the next one is this, the REST route confusion in this batch endpoint. And this is the reason why SQL injection is actually exploitable in this case. So since 5.6, WordPress has exposed a batch endpoint, this, and it bundles several REST sub-requests into single HTTP call, then executes them in series. So internally, WordPress tracks these sub-requests in 2 parallel arrays, one for validation, permission checks and endpoint allow list, and one for execution. So over here, the bug was introduced in 6.9. It lets those two lists desync when a subrequest errors out. So subrequest n ends up running under the permission context of subrequest n-1. As you can see, when one subrequest triggers an error, the two arrays shift by 1 position. Okay, so how this SQL injection turned into code execution? And this is the most elegant step of the chain. Well, remember, by this point, the SQL injection is fully unauthenticated. Union-based SQLite doesn't just let you read data, since WP query builds a select statement and the attacker controls the values going in it. They can make the query return whatever fake raw data they want. WordPress core actually has code paths where results of certain queries get written back into WP posts and WP options. Like caching, transits, etc. So if you can control what a query returns, you can effectively control what gets written in those tables. I mean these. That's the write primitive. So WordPress has a built-in feature. If post contains these, this is a markup syntax, WordPress fetches metadata about that URL and caches the result as transient, a temporary cached value stored in WP options, and sometimes as a post name in WP posts. So the cache key isn't random, it's this value. And it's fully predictable if you know the URL and embed attributes. So the attacker uses SQLite to slip a row into WP posts that looks like a normal post containing this syntax. When WordPress later processes it, it creates the embed cache entry, except now the attacker knows exactly what the key value it'll be stored under because they control the URL and attributes that feed the MD5. This gives them a predictable slot to plant more forced data into WP options. This might be confusing for some people because it was a bit confusing for me when I was reading it too, but if you watch this video fully, and you can also read the blog, you can find it from the link in the description, I think it will make much more sense. Okay, so the next step is escalation via customize change set. So basically, the attacker fakes a database entry. So if I read this, gonna be like really confusing for you, but if I have to explain this in simple words, I would say basically the attacker fakes a database entry that says this pending change belongs to admin user #1. So when WordPress later processes that pending change, it trusts the label and runs the action as if the admin themselves triggered it. No login needed, no password guessed here. It's identity theft at the database level. Force the owned by admin tag, and the WordPress own code does the rest under that admin's authority. So basically the change we're talking about here is customized change set is just WordPress post type used by customizer, and it's the live preview theme editor, and that's what they exploited here. And obviously the last part we have is admin creation and web shell. So now they have admin context execution. The same malicious batch request also includes a normal legitimate looking request call that is WP version 2 users, the standard create new user endpoint. And since the request is running with admin privileges, WordPress happily creates a brand new administrator account for the attacker, and that's insane. And then from there, with the real admin access, they use another well-known WordPress admin capability, installing a plugin to upload a small malicious plugin whose code runs system commands. And that's why it's called wp2shell. The crazy part is that a plugin also deletes and uninstalls itself afterward to reduce forensic traces. That's insane. So as you can see, these are the affected versions. So do check it out if your WordPress is not vulnerable to this. Okay, that's it for this video. I think it's pretty crazy how 2 medium severity bugs were chained to find a critical one, and how this bug was sitting in public for this many years and nobody found it until now. Well, that's the whole game in bug bounty and hacking in general. So if you're interested in live bug bounty hunting, you can check out my memberships from link in the description, because I'll be uploading more videos soon there where I share my personal findings and I do live hunting as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.